May I start, may I start it now?
Yep,
Go ahead, we're recording.
go for it.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to my portfolio presentation. This is Rick. Currently I'm specializing in learning paths that relate to 3D modeling and game design. So in my portfolio, it will show my 3D models and game scenes build-ups. I hope my presentation can bring some interest to you guys. Also, I hope I can get a valuable feedback from you. Okay, let's start my review. First of all, at the top of the homepage are my personal logo and my name. This logo design was from DMA 226 that was assisted by Professor Jones. I gave a special meaning for my logo. The color element I chose that means the software I'm using for 3D design pipeline. For example, the orange hue color is similar to the early version of the substance pander that stands in textures. And the light blue is the Maya's tone color, which stands in geometries. And the darkest part mostly identifies the ZBrush tool. All these tools are the mainstream software that works for next generation pipeline, and I feel comfortable to use them in daily work. As you can see, my web framework tends to be simple and straightforward, which is easy to navigate. One of the work you see here is personal long-term hard surface practice. This is a Batman arm suit. My first attempt was to make a complete character. However, I couldn't make the satisfied facial textures, so this will be my improvement once I learn more about character design. I have a few different angles for the shots, and also I created a screenshot for the UV layout, and I think the 8,000 faces is satisfied for most of the mainstream game engines. And also I have the ZBrush screenshot for that. As you can see, I have actually the original design have the facial part, but I remove it due to the texture problems. Okay, let's go to my portfolios. In my portfolio section, most of them are my recent work. This is because the older pieces don't have a good quality for the rendering, and even few of them, the bottoms are the older version of my work. So as you can see, some of them are just a screenshot. They don't have the high resolution quality for everybody to review it. The layout I chose here is very simple and easy to see for everyone. I sort them by objects. In each album, you will see the object at different angles so that you can easily review the models and the render effect. I have more artwork in my ArtStation channel, and I will show you how to figure it out later. So in my scene section, I already clicked it out. So in my scene section, there are two different cases that are made by team or personal. The first one is my first team project that I completed in DMA 219 class, and Professor Neho was conducting the whole process. Pablo, and Anisha was responsible for this project, and we worked together from the block out, and the big frame, and all the models and the light effects to the final post effects. We were very clear about what our roles were during the process, so our teamwork was very successful, even though we did not fully understand the Unreal Engine 4 as much as right now. Overall, it did represent my team collaboration with others. The next cartoony house is my personal work that I learned from a tutorial at aboutcg.com. All 3D models, scene setup, and materials and the light were done by me. You probably found most of these items in my portfolio gallery here. I reused them in the scene and with different setting. Also, I made immersive textures for potions in Unreal Engine 4. The challenge here was to create all similar style textures in Substance 3D Painter. To overcome that, I learned the knowledge of creating smart material in Substance Painter. And the light, I also create the light volume in each windows. But you can still see I have not very good to handle the details. As you can see, the lid supposed to get down from the area. But I think that's not a big deal. I can fix it out later. On the next page it shows a brief introduction of me. This will help anyone to know about me. Once I have more experience with my 3D career, I will update it. The final page provides my basic contact information. If you are interested, you can contact me. Moreover, you can check my ArtStation channel. As I mentioned, you can follow all my recent work and my old work here. I think this is all I want to present to you guys today. I hope you enjoy and thank you for your valuable feedback. That's it.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, I have my hand up. I'm going to go first. Can I go first?
Yes, you can go first.
Wonderful. Rick, it's so good to see you. And I'm very excited about a lot of work that you have going on and showing. One of my follow-up questions was going to be, are you on ArtStation? Are you present? The tricky thing with 3D is that it's part of it's part of a digital media industry that operates a little differently with how it gets its work, right? It's not quite the same as having a portfolio website and that like being sufficient to send off to employers. You do need that also, but ArtStation is excellent. That's a great place to start. You could also consider Behance, CG Society, couple of those forums, because it's such an elite industry that employers don't really go through the traditional avenues. They have communities, and if you're visible in those communities, then that's where you get the attention. So you're doing a lot of things right. I'm going to speak to some of the artistic critiques I have across the board, because what you're doing right. I keep saying you're doing a lot of things right. You are. What you're doing right. You're pumping out work. You are practicing, and you are honing really impressive skills. Some things that are holding you back are the presentation of some of those skills currently. Have you done any kind of looking into illustration, like painting and drawing? Do you avoid that a lot, or have you like maybe goofed around with it a little bit?
I feel I do have a painting knowledge about that, but I didn't focus on that too much.
Well, the good news is that no one's going to expect you to be a master painter or illustrator by any means. However, There are some foundations that show up in those skill sets of like laying out environment that will really help you beef up your presentation with what you have currently. Can I look at some of your orts? If you scroll down to, I'm looking at, there you go, okay. These are tricky because individually set, what's hurting you the most is probably your lighting presentation here. Can I ask what renderer you used for these?
Marmoset 2x4.
Marmoset, awesome. Okay. Are they? Can I actually turn them around and look at those pieces at all?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, you should have showed us that. Like you could rotate them in Marmoset, right? Did you? Can you engage with them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
You mean-
Nice. Well, because right now these look like still shots. They don't look like the Marmoset 3D like presenter where you can actually rotate these objects. Is that right? Are these still shots or can you turn them around?
It's still shot. I didn't.
That's right. Okay. So that's the cool part about Marmoset is that when you render from Toolbag, you can export like an actual 3D engage. I can look at it as a viewer of your portfolio. You're not utilizing that part. That will go a long way. What's that?
This one for the rendering.
Okay.
But I didn't upload it.
Okay. The positioning of some of your assets are like how you have them staged is struggling here a little bit. Like the book looks good. I like the 3/4 view of some of the other assets, like the table and the shelf, even though the lighting might be a little dark. But you have other things that are head on, like straight on. If I am able to do turnarounds with them and actually look at the 3D model, that won't hurt you so much. All right. And I'm really glad that you pulled this guy up because this is one of your strongest pieces. And I'm going to help you think about ways to, okay, we're going to go that. Yeah, let's do this. I really like the shot. You've got some cool kind of camera dynamics of space and helping us feel like what's happening in this space. However, I'm going to give you a art term that I'd like you to look into called value grouping, where you can think about how much contrast you're using to guide the visual eye. You have contrast occurring in your shadows. They're very dark black, but you also lose detail that way. So you're going to want to control those values a little bit more. We don't want black blacks and white whites in a lot of our shots. We want to kind of bring them more closer to a Goldilocks, position there. Good framing here. You could play with some cool shadows though, that the books could be casting that might help the center pop a little bit more. And that's where value grouping will come in and help you. It's very orange. That might not be bad. That could be just personal opinion at that point. But there's not a lot of variety of color that you could be telling story with here, but you're doing a lot of work. I don't want to make it sound like I don't appreciate how much work I know went into this. I know it did. For the next one that you do though, the next piece you do, there'll be new things to carry with you. Can I look at your character art too, real quick?
Character.
Yeah. Your character piece. Now, it's interesting that you went to your website to show me. I agree with you because your website is showing it much better than your art station. Can you show me on your art station what it looks like really quick, just like from the first shot?
Yeah, that's just
Yeah, show me. Ouch. Look at that. You have a gorgeous human model there, or humanoid, we'll say. I don't know. And you cut his head off. And the shot here, this is hurting me. Follow up to my point before though, value grouping. This is so dark. You're losing so much detail. While there's so much going on, I don't know if this is a new artist's thing to do. I did it. I definitely did it. And I see a lot of students doing this. We like to hide our work in darkness and call it mood. And I'm sorry, but that is great work. You should not be hiding it, and give it some proper lighting care. Like this is a human character, so you could look at portrait lighting, good standard 3-point lighting, get a solid point light, a fill light. I'm forgetting the other one because I'm not feeling well, but do do a good standard 3-point lighting setup for your portraits. This is so dope, and it's hurting my heart that it's not better lit, right? And also, like, I don't know why we're looking at the crotch of our human for the first thing that we see. I'd like me the back is good, pretty cool storytelling kind of mood, like super. Yes, yeah. I think color study is going to go a long way for you. Love that you're using Marmoset tool bag. That's great, but don't forget that you could post those features to let us have turnarounds of your models, because the topology is also going to tell a lot about what you're capable of, especially for games modeling. When I can see how much detail you preserve from your high poly bake onto your low poly stuff, and I could see how good your stuff looks in game. Mwah! Chef's kiss good. So okay.
I'll go next. So yeah, I mean, stemming off of what Renee is saying, definitely do. I think your Batman looks awesome. He's a little out of proportion, so I would really focus on doing a lot of human studies. Even an ArtStation, if you go to the marketplace and you search like reference images, or trying to say anatomy references for artists, they have so many. Like, people literally light pose, they'll sell the packs for you, and I've bought them from other people, other artists, because they're already shooting that stuff for you. Or go to life drawing classes, especially if you're looking to get more into characters. A lot of drawing of humans, and yeah, like spending, I don't know what your schedule looks like, but one day just studying color, playing around with painting, whether it's, I personally think painting in real life really kind of strengthens your knowledge of how color works, even in like in the real world setting, how shadows aren't pure black. There's a lot of reflected light, and you kind of really understand how that works when you're physically painting. But even in Photoshop, there's so many things you can do, but also it's going to help your texturing, because you're understanding how color works and value, like color and value and things like that. But yeah, as she was saying, like I went to school with a friend, and he had a really good presence on it might have been CG Society, but he got a job working on Call of Duty guns because he really liked doing weapons, and he like showed them all on Marmoset Toolbag. He like was constantly posting stuff, getting feedback on forums, and he actually had someone reach out to him and ask him for an interview because they needed a weapons artist. So like really being active in like that 3D community. And yeah, like if I'm nitpicking on the portfolio, like she already said, presentation, your pages seem to be a little different as you kind of go through. I don't know if you have a link to your ArtStation in your website.
Yeah, I have a symbol
okay.
here.
Cool.
Once you click it, it just directly go to my portfolio.
Yeah, I would say like for your pages, making sure they're all the same, because I think when you go to, might have been, so you're yeah, it's a little different. But I love your logo. I think yourself as like branding yourself, you have that down. And I think your environments look really nice. Yeah, you have just like a lot of studying of just do a lot of drawing and studying, and just set some time for that. I know it can be kind of hard.
Yeah, your paintings, as you study, they don't need to be like master line weight control value. You don't need to worry about the details too much, but bigger foundational understandings of lighting, composition, value, the way color works together, and how to bring more harmony through it. I mean, Pro tip, usually lower the saturation. That's almost always what you have to do to get it to work better. That's just a little pro tip future. But I wanted to piggyback off what Mariella said because she made a really good point. Like, did you have your ArtStation link here? It's buried in your contacts. I might actually recommend having your ArtStation front facing on your website, like where it says home, portfolio, scenes, about, have like a button that says ArtStation. Like that way they can just go directly to it. A lot of the times these hiring managers will want ArtStation portfolios they can just forward on to their people. And they're not going to be sharing your website as often.
Gotcha.
That's all I had. Really, really great work. I feel like I can send, I feel your passion for it. I think it's great that you're self-learning because that you have to kind of keep learning new things. And how do you solve a problem? Well, I'm going to look it up and figure it out. And then, that makes you stronger. Yeah, good work.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So Rick, I'm focused on video rather than 3D, so I have some limited knowledge and experience. So some of the suggestions I make, Renee or Mariella may have other suggestions. So this is just from my perspective, and mostly about the presentation, more so than about the work itself, because I don't have any experience on that. One of the things that I really liked is that you showed a personal project, which in and of itself shows that you have the drive to try something and learn. And you said you looked at tutorials. That shows your interest in pushing your abilities more so than just creating, because you've got some awesome stuff, but often an employer is looking for somebody that is pushing and trying to learn more and build and be better and all of that. And just having that personal project there helps indicate that you have that. So that was really cool. One thing that can be helpful for presentations, especially with something like this, is you've shown us the end result. And it's, in my opinion, amazing. But I'd like to understand a little bit more about the process. So what was your original concept? What were you trying to achieve? And what were some of the decisions you made along those lines? Why, like on the Batman, why do you have those highlights? What does that do as part of that, his armor? Or, yeah, it looks cool, but does it have a function? What were your decisions? How did you make those decisions? And if we can see some of that process, which might be an initial sketch, hand-drawn sketch, and then how did you develop and take it to the end result, which is really cool, because that helps somebody see how you problem solve, how you vision something, and then how you take it from that original concept to the end. Because I'm guessing in the industry, you're going to be given something, either a concept like, hey, we need a character that is big and ugly, but he's a soft-hearted guy and he has all this, cool armor or something. How do you take that concept to the end result? And Renee may have some other suggestions, but seeing how you do that can help somebody see how you work as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go into all the challenges in a negative way. You can show how maybe you didn't like how the lighting was working, or some of the materials, or something was looking. So you found some tutorials and you got it to this point. So using those challenges as a way to show your strengths. And this is just a personal thing, and I don't know if this is accurate. This is a Batman armor. I guess my one hesitation is Batman already exists. And so you kind of have something as an example, what would you create of your own that would be something different that represents that you have to think about, oh, why would this be there, or how would that work, or all of those things. So just as a way to maybe push those skills to real world. And Renee may have some other suggestions along those lines. But
Yeah, you
those were
were
the kind of
so
the
right.
things.
You're absolutely right. It's okay to do fan art. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, especially for practice and stuff. And even showing it in your portfolio is fine. But the thing is that when you work off of work that's been done, the pro is that it's usually really strong to start off. The con is that you don't know why it's working. And the people who've designed this understand balance, they understand color story, they understand color harmonies, they understand there's a lot going into the foundational design. And I want to highlight that word design, because the fundamentals of design, the rule of thirds shows up a lot. These compositional ideas, they inform even character designs, like how much contrast is being used in materials, the color of the armor, is it working together? Accent colors, all of these things start to show up in every bit of it. And if you ignore it and only focus on sort of the end result, like the tech of it and like the engine and the tech of and the fancy gadgets, you will lose that foundation. And the foundational understanding is what gets you hired. Because when a director sees that you understand the basics, and you're not getting caught up in the high level rendering fancy tech of it, they know that they don't have to train you these foundational things, which is really expensive, because they're very difficult to kind of grasp, which is why art school is so expensive. And that's why. So don't neglect those things. And yeah, Dave is also right about original work. However, if you are working off of concept, wonderful, show the concept and give credit to the original artist, and show that you're a team player and give them credit. And what that shows is that you can replicate style, which is another skill that they really care about. So do that too.
That's a challenge. And yeah, I'm trying to gather some 2D images from ArtStation and try to turn it to 3D. Yeah, but that's a challenge. I know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's actually, sorry, Dave. I just want to pass this on because I just watched it a little bit ago. On Netflix, there is a series called Voir, VOIR, talking about movies. And the 4th episode is about animation design. And it has some top animators talking about what makes for appeal in design. And one of the exercises they do, Rick, is actually they find this 2D character designer, and then they try to take his 2D concept and turn it into 3D. And they talk about the difficulty of that, the kind of problems that creates. And I can't remember if the title of it is Harmony or Appeal, but it's the 4th episode. And I think that Renee and Mariella should really see it too, because it really is about creating characters and about what makes for an appeal in a character. So it's something that I would like all my students to see, and you may want to take a look at it if you have access to Netflix. So the series is called Voir, VOIR. So if you have time, take a look at it.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is helpful. This may be going too extreme, Renee, but we once had a student that, rather than, she was a character artist, and so rather than looking at what other people have done and being on their styles, she would read books and then from their descriptions create the character that would fit that that story. And so I don't know in the real world the process, if you're given just a written description of a character, or if you may be given something like a 2D to then build out, but starting from that to be able to create something seems like it would be valuable. And Renee, you might.
It depends on the size of the team. I've worked on very small teams where I was also the concept artist, and I've worked on larger teams where a much more talented concept artist than myself would give me that work. So both skills are pretty important. It just kind of depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to get into AAA, you can get around the concept part by showing that you work well off of concept artists work, but you have to be giving them credit. You have to be forwarding that on. It's not cool to be showing work that you've done that was worked off of somebody else's concept, because it's implied that you created it from there. But if you want to work on a small team and be the art person who kind of does it all, you'll have to show more of your original concept art, and that would be an uphill climb for you specifically. You'd have a lot of work to put in towards doing that. Not saying that you shouldn't do it. It's actually really great. It'll only improve your work. But yeah, it just depends on the team. Small teams, you're doing everything.
Cool.
Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, I sent you that link with all there's some really good anatomy references in there. He also has like a lot of some other stuff. And his name is Noah, but he shoots all these people, and he has like some really cool things for study, hands, all kinds of stuff. And like, you get hundreds of photos. So, but I like using that.
Yeah, this is a good pieces to know about the postures and bodies.
Yeah.
Some lighting too, I see. Great.